say she's alive too many times. It's just that
Just
that's
goes. It's just the thing to
well,
say.
that's the thing that Dr. Frankenstein says to his. It's that black and white. Have you ever
Yeah,
seen
yeah,
it?
yeah.
That black and white. He's alive. Of
It's
course he is.
alive.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
even better.
yeah.
Good morning. It's the Daily Egg for Friday, the 12th of April. You know, this month is just. I say that every month, except February. I have said this before, but February did take all year, you know. What happened this day in time back in, let's see, what have we got here? 1606. The Union flag is adopted as the flag of English and Scottish ships. Why are we talking about the Union flag? Because that Union flag, that Union Jack, why is it called Union Jack? Jack of all Jack shit. The Union Jack is the de facto national flag of the United Kingdom. The Union flag was also used as the official flag. I suppose I should wear my glasses. Who am I pretending? Who am I kidding here? Was also used as the official flag of several British colonies and dominions before they adopted their own national flags. Well, in some cases, the Union Jack never left because once the Union Jack's in you, it's there. The flag continues to have official status in Canada by parliamentary resolution where it is known as the Royal Union Flag. We in Australia still have the Union Jack because we are still a Commonwealth, and now the people of Australia actually want Australia to be a republic. But there are lots and lots of people who are still royalists in Australia, and they don't want to see that going. This is how hard and fast and strong the colonial hold is, because even in republics, no names, that have had their, they were dominions, they were independent, and well, they still want to hold on to the Union Jack because, oh no, it's part of our history. No, I don't. I think if you look around in colonized places and if you listen, you'll see the colonial history and hear the colonial history everywhere. You don't need to have it on your flag as representation of what the country is. That actually says to me this country is still under slavery mindset when I see a Union Jack on a flag. You know what? It's kind of crazy how many countries celebrate their independence from the United Kingdom and France. France, people tend to forget. Also Portugal. Portugal and France were one of the first colonizing countries. And of course, that is why the continent of Africa is so. You've got Muslims up north, and I think it's pretty much up north of the countries because Muhammad and his caliphate, when they went into the continent of Africa to spread Islam, they spread it up there. And the Roman Catholics were spreading their word down south, so French speaking. So you have the continent of Africa a bit confused from where all life came. It's a very colonized continent. Phew, no wonder the world's confused. Anyway, let's just see what's happening news headlines wise. Today, actually, I wanted to just go on to Instagram because I do save a lot of Instagram posts, etc. Your algorithm on your social media feeds will show and share what you seek. I seek news, I seek science and spirituality, and do I follow anything? Oh yeah, you disappointing affirmations. That's just.
And we the ether.
And yes, well, there's some the science stuff too, but you actually do have some really absurd things, darling. Now, let's go. I'm going to go and continue reading. These are not in any order. They're not necessarily news headlines because, let's face it, the news headlines does not change much, does it? We've still got, okay, so Hugo Weaving, Agent Smith, and who was he? Elrond? No, Agent Smith and Elrond. Thank goodness.
And Priscilla.
Yeah, who was he in Priscilla? Oh my God, I can't remember his name. But he is now taking top billing on Sydney Morning Herald. It's appalling. Hugo Weaving on the backlash to pro-Palestine protests. I agree, because it is appalling. Because anyone who is condemning pro-Palestine protests or anything or speech is actually saying they're actually pro-genocide. It is pretty much that. If people are also, as I have explained before, if you're going to use the term anti-Semite or the word term Semite at all, if you're going to use anti-Semite, please understand that that also means that you are anti-Semite if you are anti-Middle Eastern people. Because Semite, and I know I've said this a few times this week, but let's just consider this a public service announcement. Semite is a term coined by European scholars, can't quite pinpoint the century, 1700s, because so much shit happened in the 1700s. Yes, I said shit. This is not your usual kind of news show, okay? Transparency, which means vulgarity. Now, vulgarity is what's happening out in the world. This may seem like profanity to you, but a few letters making up words that really depict or express how frustrated we are with the state of the world. Yeah, shit. That's not profanity, that's fact. Anyway, Semite was coined by European scholars circa 1700s, who knows. And it's a term that came from the name given to one of Noah's sons. I can't remember the other two, but they were also then went on to become the racial groupings of the world. So the Semites, named after Shem, were Arabs and the people of Hebrew ancestry, Hebrew faith were, no, actually languages, because that's what Semite is classifying, languages of the area, Arabic, Hebrew, and Afro. So if you're anti-Semite, you're actually, if you're calling someone who is pro-Palestine an anti-Semite, no, you have to look at yourself though, buddy, because actually the people who are saying anti-Semite are anti-Semites. So, corrupt, no. Acceptable behavior for an MP, also no. Look, I don't know. You know that there's just going to be. In Australia, it's constant soap opera in politics here. It's constantly, and all the channels, and it's Sydney Morning Herald is very Eurocentric. And there's a lot of information there about what's happening. The news they plan on, share is very much about what's happening amongst the media people and all that. Look at what we've got. O.J. Simpson, fallen NFL hero, acquitted of murder in trial of the century, dies. See ya, O.J. Simpson earned fame, fortune, and adulation through football and show business, but his legacy was forever changed by the June 1994 knife slayings of his ex-wife. That's a very polite way of saying he murdered his wife and wife's boyfriend or friend. Look, I really do think he did it. And there is talk, actually, that his son may have done it too. Again, gossip, rumor, conjecture, I don't know. Who cares now because he's dead, right? Well, what about Nicole Simpson, the woman he murdered, his ex-wife? I really do think he did. The problem with that is that OJ is a black man, a black American man, and this really, really divided. And there was huge problems. We had Rodney King issues back then. There was the Gulf War, then what happened in LA, the riots, and then OJ, all of this. We were glued to the television. Remember seeing that Bronco chase, the white Bronco, which is the vehicle, the four-wheel drive. Turns out it wasn't OJ driving that, it was his friend driving that. This is ridiculous. It was such a soap opera, and Americans, and turns out the world, we were, everyone loves a good reality TV soap opera. I was reading the news back then, or had just finished actually, 1994, and we were still really, really interested in all that was happening there. Crazy. Anyway, moving on. But not moving on really, because yes, he killed his wife. The problem is that all the theatrical shit, etc., and because he was a celebrity. OJ was a big celebrity. He was a big, their NFL star, and he was in movies. I remember he was in that silly, what's it called, Naked Gun with Leslie, the old guy. Nielsen, thank you. He was in that as the sidekick. And so for America, he was a black son, he was, and to top it off, a white wife. And that seems to be the ultimate, yes, you've made it, man. The black man accolade of that time. Not so much anymore, but there still is colorism, which is a factor in everything here. There still is an issue how they do say, especially Black American women do say Black American men do tend to go for lighter skin. I'm not so sure anymore. The times have changed, thank goodness, because now we know, and here's another PSA for you, there is no such thing as white skin and melanin. There is only melanin and then varying degrees and shades of melanin. Okay, to the deepest melanin, to the browns, to the palest melanin, which is actually Asian origin skin, and then you have something in between, which is a lack of decent enough melanin. But you've got to have melanin, otherwise you're an albino. Now, we're going to continue. So, again, under Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and I'm still reading from the Sydney Morning Herald, we will harm them. Israel says it is prepared for wider conflict amid Iran attack fears. Holy cow. This is belligerence, not just evil. It is belligerence. By now, they need to understand that the world is not with them. The world is against them. Even people who are perhaps pro ex-European refugees, like Germany. But also the world has seen the truth, regardless of what Israel wanted for themselves. Now it's just bloodshed. Now it's just ridiculous. Now seeing kids with their heads, they're not children anymore. They were, people in children's bodies with their heads ripped off and just tendons sticking out of their necks. We've seen it all. The world is horrified. Sadly, I do feel the world is getting a bit immune. We all are. I'm feeling it too. It's like, oh gosh, look, more killings. Except our cells remember. Our cells are grieving. Our minds have to move on because life goes on in the world, despite the fact that all over the world, human beings like you and me, like us, they're getting murdered every day in their homes. They wake up not knowing if that day is going to be their last day. Some don't actually wake up because they don't get to. Whew. What's happening in Palestine, of course, is not the only crisis happening in the world, but that is the one that has taken the world's collective's conscience. And I see a lot of people who, again, I do have to say this, who are advocating as a form of avoidance. So people don't want to do the hard work of looking at themselves, because every single person in Israel who is defending this, who are behind what they're doing, and not everyone there is behind that. People of Israel are now protesting against Netanyahu, which, by the way, is not his real name. It's a made-up name because he wanted it to sound more Middle Eastern. Can you look up for me Netanyahu's real name, darling? But his father and his grandfather were well-known Zionists, and of course, then Netanyahu is going to be that. But that's not his real name. But by now we know they're all fairly troubled because what is it that they want? They just want property. They want what? Anyway, it's time for it to end, but it's not ending. They're like backed in a corner and they refuse to. No. So when all the Middle Eastern countries decide, well, actually, they've all had enough because Israel's going to start attacking everyone, like they already have in Lebanon. They've attacked other places. And now Israelis in other countries are now protesting against, they're rioting, etc. But the Israelis in Israel are actually protesting against their leadership because they're sick and tired of it. But they're saying, bring the hostages back. There may not be any hostages left. And Milikowski, is it Polish or Russian? Milikowski, check his father. So Benjamin Netanyahu's real name is
Polish, yeah.
Benjamin Milikowski, which is Polish, and they are Polish Zionists. So what are Polish people doing in the Middle East? Well, why don't we ask the US about that? How these ex-European refugees got to be smack bang right in the middle in such a wonderful spot. How'd they get there? Where's the accountability? Germany's on the side of Israel because they have guilt. UK, well, they're the kings and queens of the world. They're not going to, until it affects them. And of course, where's Kate? Where is Kate? Now that they've brought out that, well, she's suffering from cancer, very soon we may be told she's dead. It's a cover-up. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. We just know way too much now about how people do things. And also, they've been caught out in lie after lie after lie. Lies. And we're going to buy this lie that Catherine, who now we know, by the way, that deep fakes occur. This is why you need to see the reality, the real TV, real news right here, right now on the Daily Egg. Very, very possible that what we saw as Catherine, Princess of Wales, soon to be Queen, well, maybe, of England, that could be a deep fake. That could be, as we now know, AI is doing, giving you newsreaders, AI is doing all sorts of things, and there's not everybody that you see that looks like real. Like we just shared the news yesterday that there's all these influencers on Instagram with, 5-figure account following, etc., and they're not actually real. They're AI. So it's as someone joked, it's some Indian guy, somewhere who's programmed this hot woman. It's stereotyping, and that's quite racist, but I think it's based on reality, that one. So, Catherine, that may be a deep fake. I'm not buying it. And you can call me all sorts of names if at the end of the year, she comes out and says, thank you very much. I was actually really, really sick, blah, blah, blah. And I'm very embarrassed about all the mistakes that we made at the start of the year. Great. I hope to be wrong. I like being wrong. I do. I like being proved wrong about things like this. When you start thinking about the heinous things that people do, I want to be proved wrong. So about Catherine, I want to be proved wrong, and I want to be proved wrong about what is happening in Palestine, because I actually think it's not going to end. Because people, the activism is perpetuating it. I know, really, really harsh call here, but I know way too many people who are avoiding confronting themselves and changing themselves. Instead, they just wallow in trauma and then they go out and fight for the collective's trauma. And that's avoidance. And this is what each and every single one of us have to do. Look at ourselves first before we go out and fight for everyone else. It's good that we fight for everyone else, but why are we doing it? A lot of people are doing it for the kudos and the validation and, avoidance, and also about denial, about not having to face who they are and what they're doing. Instead, let's just go and add their voices. And this is what everyone is doing. We know that the people in Israel, they're descendants of people who were subjected to the most heinous crimes. But are we going to, let's talk about the balance of this now? Are we going to talk about what happened to them and what their descendants are doing to the world? Because not all people of Jewish faith are for this. There are far too many for this to be a Jewish thing. It's the people of Israel, and I think we all know that these are now Zionists, not people of Jewish faith. I don't like using the term Zionism because Zionism is also a term that African people, they're not black in Africa. Let's get this straight. They're people. They're only black when they're in Eurocentric templates, constructs of society. So people in South Africa have a Zionist movement. And let me just, give me a moment to just quickly fact check that so I'm not... in South Africa. I know I perhaps should have looked at this before, but I don't always know. Okay, look. African Zionism, also it's Zionism. Zionism is actually an African word. Oh my God. Oh, my goodness me. I did not realize that. African Zionism, also Amazioni from Zulu people of Zion, is a religious movement with 15 to 18 million members throughout southern Africa, making it the largest religious movement in the region. It is a combination of Christianity and African traditional religion. I don't mind that. I mean, I need to tell Dwayne this. Zion, so what does Zion mean in Africa? Zion symbolizes a longing by wandering peoples for a safe homeland. This could be an actual place such as Ethiopia for Rastafari, or Israel for the Jews. Like, look. I'm just reading, okay? While not identifying as Jews, identifying themselves and Africa as Zion. Specifically, Ethiopia is acknowledged as the mountains of Zion. You know, Ethiopia is considered, Ethiopia used to be one of the richest countries on earth at one time. The kings of Ethiopia. And Ethiopia has got a very interesting mix. Like the Ethiopians look like they could be a mix of Southeast Asian, specifically Indian and African. It's fascinating. We're going to do it. I might do a deep dive on all of this because I did not know about this bit of information about Zion. And I really am looking forward to telling Dwayne about this because he'll be thrilled. We love information. So the Rastafari movement. No. Let me do a deep dive for you on this one. This is fascinating. I'm absolutely, because I do need to share more information with you about Ethiopia. And now most people in our times know Ethiopia as being, well, you know, the subject of all those Save the Children ads, right? Oh, gosh. You know, because I don't mean to laugh, I'm sorry, that famines and crises and conflicts, etc., have changed a former power. But we don't know too much of what's happening in Ethiopia now. And join me. I'll let you know. I'll schedule that to keep a watch on our TV guides and our channel home. I'll schedule a deep dive on Zion and Zionism and what it all means. Let me go back to reading the news. So yes, that's what I was saying. I don't really like using that word. For me, it is an African term, and now I did not even know how strongly an African term it is when the actual word comes from a Zulu word, you know, from Zulu, people of Zion, Amazioni. What? This is crazy. Also, it's interesting that because, of course, the southern part of Africa, as I said earlier, was colonized by Roman Catholics, the French, and that's why they speak French in a lot of these countries. And they're Muslim and they're French because it all spread, right? Because it was a war from the north and from the south who will colonize the continent of Africa first and the most, because Africa is not just the source of life, but it is a continuing source of the riches of this earth. We were all deposited there on that landmass. These are facts of life, and it's wonderful. Get your philosophy, get your spirituality from this. We are all connected by our skin, the skin we're in, the vessel we're in. Anyway, I'm going to continue. Goodness me, this makes me cry, all of this. What's happening around the world? Okay, I'm done with maybe Sydney Morning Herald, except for this. This is Sydney Morning Herald for you. Point Piper's exclusive Royal Motor Yacht Club rocked by smear campaign. Someone Davosed it. Davos and smear campaigns are what narcissists do. And what is it? Davos is deny, apologize, reverse victim, something like that. But this is what narcissists and saboteurs do. And I'm going to talk about that actually a bit later, because I had a story here about someone stalking, a guy's stalking experience that he's made into a Netflix series. So if you've ever been stalked, I have, it's kind of gross. And also how people are weird. People are really weird, huh? Yeah, yes, we is. So, gosh, OJ is leading all headlines here. So what is, so CNN, we've got OJ, yeah, dies of cancer at 76. Nicole didn't get to, but as I've said my piece about all of that. He killed Nicole. He did. He killed Nicole and Nicole's friend. It's just that he's a black man in Euro-white and a celebrity in the Eurocentric template of the state of America, and no one wanted to see him take the fall. At that stage, they didn't want the Black Americans of celebrity status to take the fall, but now they do. Now, they want their celebrity black men to take public falls. I still have my theories on why Will Smith did what he did what should have been the most important moment of his career path. I mean, I don't hold much truck in this wankery that is the Academy Awards and all of that, okay? This is not the world's movie awards. This is merely the State of America's motion picture awards for their people. It is not a global movie award. They decide they're going to put every single country's movie industries. They decide to pick one. Like, do they even understand that the Indian movie industries, there are about 27 of them, 26, 25 to 27, based on their languages? That Bollywood, which I loathe the term, Hindi cinema is just the Hindi cinema, which is the most prevalent, because also it seems to be very dominated by the North Indians, who insist on doing all sorts of crazy filtering to make especially their leading women, their actresses, look paler than, I don't know, give me something paler than this table in the Arctic or something. I don't know. It's a white table. I don't know. I got nothing right now. I've got nothing right now. But it's crazy. Yeah. So I'm going to move on, right? Still reading from CNN. Vietnam tycoon sentenced to death in $12 billion fraud case. $12 billion? $12 billion fraud case? Holy cow. I have to read this because it's a woman. It's a woman. And for me, a woman who's a billionaire already, I'm interested. Because how did you get there and what did you do and who did you exploit? Because there's no such thing as an ethical billionaire. No such thing. You cannot. So the billionaires who exist in the world who are women, I don't know if that, I know Rihanna is a billionaire and of course Taylor Swift, and Rihanna is a billionaire based on her cosmetic industry performance, not actually on her the talent that first brought her to fame. And for me, both Taylor Swift and Rihanna, how they got to be billionaires, both are very, very, what's the word? I'm losing words here. Dubious. Or I don't like the way personally, this is my now opinion. Opinions are not objective. They are subjective. So this is my opinion. Making your wealth, millions, based on getting people to buy your products because your products hide their flaws. Oh yeah, that Kylie Jenner person is a billionaire. Look, don't even start me. And you know what? I remember this when she was raking in the money, right? And do you remember, and I'm bringing in some pop culture, but this is news as well. So Kylie Jenner, she had started off with these lip kits, right? And then she went and bought lip fillers, which was very, very obvious. You don't go from like that lipped to that lipped, or that lipped, because you lined your lips a certain way. You can only line your lips a certain extent. And when you start lining it outside of your lip line, you look like a fucking idiot. And she was convincing people all over the world, especially women and girls, that her thick lips was the result of lip liners, that she had a product that she was launching. Great campaign, great publicity campaign. And then later, just very quietly, sotto voce, she says in one of their stupid shows or an episode of their show, oh, well, I got lip fillers because everybody was making fun of me, blah, blah, blah. Who? What? And I guess if you grow up, in the public eye like that, you have got to grow some ovaries, mate. You've got to get some intestinal fortitude here. But no, she used all of that to just make a fortune. And do you know what the stupid patsies did, people who fanned these people? They said, let's make Kylie Jenner a billionaire. Come on, we can do it. Oh, okay. So when it comes to fundraising for, Palestinian charities or the Congo or even in Australia, homelessness here or people who need or people who are merely asking for, rates, come on board, etc. No one's got any money for that, for actual truth and transparency. But yes, everybody wants to make Kylie Jenner a billionaire based on absolute fuckery and fakery. Cool? Cool? So billionaires we're talking about, right? There's no such thing as an ethical billionaire. I hate to say this against women because, but I also can't stand this thing where women say to each other, no, you shouldn't be, you can't talk against women like that. That's not feminism, solidarity. That's bullshit. That is narcissism. That is misogyny, using narcissistic traits to hide their misogyny, So like saying, no, you can't. So they guilt other women into saying, how dare you? Taylor Swift does this all the time, saying that other women saying anything about her, well, they're not feminist. Yeah, and that it's unwomanlike. It's unwoman to say anything against a woman, except that women know that amongst us hide misogynists dressed as women. Yeah, in their vessels, in women. No, I'm not talking about... Please. Let's get this straight. I'm not talking about trans women. I'm talking about born women who are misogynists in here, wearing the vessel of woman. Okay? There's misogynists come in all shapes and forms. They come in women, they come in gay males, they certainly know they come in the patriarchy, all right? But as I was talking about, no ethical billionaires. Rihanna getting all this for me on women obsessed with hiding their skin. What is this thing about hiding your skin? I understand about enhancement. I understand color, which is why I really, really love the colors I use. Mostly, if you're long-term viewers, I use a lot of colors on my face, etc. And the eye colors I use are by Yukuna Glow, which is a First Nations owned cosmetics brand in Australia. And what I loved about Yukuna Glow, and I will talk about Yukuna Glow soon, is because they launched first with eyeshadow palettes, colors that were divine, just like these, based on, wonderful, based on Uluru, colors of the Daintree, colors of the Australian outback, the in First Nations land. And I loved that because Yukuna Glow launched with colors to enhance and make you stand out, not things to make you hide yourself. Rihanna launched with lipsticks and I believe foundations in 45 shades or something like that, so that every single woman has a shade by which to hide her real skin. Well, that's not my thing. That's not my thing at all. I do use concealer, don't get me wrong. I do, tend to use a bit of concealer here, and when I remember, I use concealer on nose because I've got some weird pigmentation there. And I should be using concealer here, there, everywhere. I can't be bothered with foundation. I like to touch my face. I like to smear. I like to smush my husband as we kiss. I don't, so I don't do that. And I know that people will look at my face and go, oh, you're so brave because I have pigmentation and pores. Ooh. Well, this was supposed to be a news thing, but these are news items. And this is usually what I leave and talking about we launched, I did it yesterday, the Sandhya Show, and the first episode was Fame Part 1. I will continue talking about fame and what it means in the Euro constructs and how people of multiculture can't actually get to the top of the Euro construct ladder fame-wise because it's not constructed that way. It's theirs, not ours, not for us, sorry, and they will let us in if we're in their favor or we're trending that particular year. So, Fame Part 2 will be next week, Thursday. Check our TV guide out. It's out now on the Stylander and also on our channel homepage. And the Sandhya Show in week 3 will be about cosmetic surgery and cosmetic enhancements, etc., etc. And we'll talk more about that. Just a few more news headlines. Let's see. So I was reading about this billionaire woman Right. Oh, the other billionaire is Taylor Swift, who has earned her billions based on angst and heartbreak of these young Euro, especially Euro girls, but all women who are now in their 30s who grew up with Taylor Swift, boo-hooing and crying about the bad choices she makes, but she makes money out of it. She makes bank out of her bad choices. Others, well, they just sit there boo-hooing, listening to Taylor Swift like, oh, why doesn't he love me? Because he's a dickhead and you make bad choices. Anyway, news I did say about this billionaire. So in Hanoi, and this is from CNN, a court in Vietnam sentenced real estate tycoon Truong My Lan Thursday to death over her role in a 304 trillion dong, and that's 12.46 billion US, financial fraud case. Sentenced to death over finances? If we check what's happening in Vietnam and Hanoi, I bet people who ruthlessly murder don't get sentenced to death. They may, but is this on par? Depending on who she's ripped off, actually. Let me read. Her trial began on March 5th. And, ending earlier than planned was one dramatic result of a campaign against corruption that the leader of the ruling Communist Party has pledged for years to stamp out. Lan, the chairwoman of real estate developer Phat Holdings Group, Van Thin Phat Holdings Group, was found guilty of embezzlement, bribery, and violations of banking rules at the end of a trial in the business hub of Ho Chi Minh City. Sentenced to death. So, she started as a cosmetics trader at the Central Market in Ho Chi Minh City, helping out her mother. She later founded her real estate company in 1992, the same year she got married. She was found guilty with her accomplices of siphoning off more than 304 trillion dong from Saigon Joint Stock Commercial Bank, which she effectively controlled through dozens of proxies, despite rules strictly limiting large shareholding in lenders, according to investigators. You know what? Instead of sentencing her to death, the state of America should hire her for, I'm serious. She sounds like a very, very smart woman, knowing how to, play the system. I don't agree with siphoning, because who actually suffers with the siphoning and the embezzlement of money? Because the banks then make the people pay for some reason, interest rates, etc. It's all connected. So they don't have to. Banks are insured against shit like this. And banks, the money they play with, and it's all digital. The money they play with is not even real, tangible stuff. But sentenced to death. Yeah, no. All right, well, thank you. This is the news section part of it. We're going to move into Studio K now. Join me as we talk about other things. What are we talking about today? Well, we're talking about belief. We're going to talk about belief systems, and do you believe in God, and do you believe in yourself, and what does it all mean, etc., and why we think you should believe in us too. So let's go. Let's move into Studio K now, and we've also got the Daily Catch, because we do want to talk about a few other programs coming up. So good morning, my darling, and again, like I already said good morning, but hello, we're in Studio K now. So what a gorgeous, gorgeous day in Sydney on Friday, April the 12th. The year has gone. Does anyone remember New Year's Eve? It was just yesterday.
Happy New Year, guys.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Oh, it's Happy New Year for lots of people in various ways. It's on the Solar Hijri calendar, which is the most accurate calendar, which the Islamic calendar goes by. We all go by the Gregorian calendar, of course, but so when the lunisolar calendar, the Hindu calendar, and the Chinese Hindu astrology and astronomy and Chinese astrology is based on the lunisolar calendar. The Solar Hijri is Persian, and I think that Islam is based on that. So so there is a new year. There was Eid. Ramadan has just so they've broken their fasts, etc. With lots of sawai, yum, and sweets, etc. And right now it is for the Hindu people who follow Hindu religion. It's Navratri, Chaitra Navratri, and this is honoring the goddess Durga in all her forms, and different colors denote for different days. And as I said yesterday, well, it's actually quite scientific, because this is a wonderful way to focus your brain waves, because the colors we see are based on the wavelengths that hit our optics. And then those optics send information back into our brain waves, and then we see, ooh, green, or a bit more of a tealy green, or then the different colors because of the different wavelengths that hit.
Or in some cases, just green.
I was getting to that, darling, why I'm going to say that. But also with the colors, so this is something I learned as a child, how to focus yourself. And so I would use, and I've done it as an adult, not just as a child. I carried it on into my adulthood. And interestingly, do you remember back when coloring books was the rage for adults? It may have,
yeah.
It was just like everyone should be coloring in. And
Wasn't that long ago?
10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah, that's a long time.
That is a long time, I guess, because things change. Things change so quickly, in a month, in a day now. So the coloring book trend, etc., was really, the people were onto something. It was helping. This was way before everyone fell apart. Now everyone's traumatized. Everyone's fragmented and fractured. But before that, everyone was coloring in because it helped people focus. So if you color in the color blue, let's take a drawing, right? By the way, we do have coloring books available because Dwayne does comic book cover art. And with that, he also offers coloring books for you or your child, or as a gift for someone else, coloring books based on you. And that's a fantastic thing to do. This is a plug, yes, but I might as well if I'm talking about these things. So I'm talking about coloring in, and people were actively encouraged to color in. So I used to color in regardless of what the picture is, just one color, and it focuses. Blue is calming. Green is rejuvenating. Green helps you think of ideas. Red is assertive, And you've also got to know when not to use the colors. So if you're angry, don't color in red. Use blue. It's a very calming color, which is really, really weird as to why blue is supposedly the color for male. Blue was never the color for male. It was red. Actually, it was pink. Pink was originally the color for males. And I'll share more about that with you on one of our shows. Check out our TV guide on our channel homepage, and it'll show you where it is. On the Starlander is the full TV guide. There's a lot of shows launching next week, also next month. I was talking about colors, about Navratri. So green is the color today. I don't really know too much about about the goddesses assigned. I do know if I was reading it, so I might share that tomorrow. But otherwise, green is the color for the fourth day of this Hindu festival. And I'm sticking to it because, well, I like it. I was brought up Hindu. I'm not religious. I don't adhere to Hindu practices, but I love the science of Hinduism. I love it. It is such a wonderful connection to the world via spirituality, the frequencies. I love it. Now, this does bring me to Friday's The Daily Catch. Echo, echo, echo. What have you got for us, darling? And this is a preview, I believe, of a show that we're launching in May.
Well, curious. Yesterday I was thinking about how we would travel outside of our solar system. And I was thinking, hang on a second, our solar system is traveling through the galaxy at an insane speed, right? So that speed is 230 kilometers per second.
Can you bring the laptop here, Don?
Yeah.
So the solar system is traveling at an average speed of 230 kilometers a second within its trajectory around the galactic center. So what else were you? Why? Why were you looking at all of that?
Oh, because I just had a thought. If we were going to travel outside of our solar system to go and look for other planets that are habitable, how hard would it be?
Very, unless we found wormholes.
Because we're moving that fast. Just imagine, and then how are we going to get back into the solar system?
Who says we want to come back?
We have to catch it.
Skyhook.
Or, wormhole tech.
Wormhole tech. How fantastic. Yeah. The reason why I guess you were thinking about this is because we were talking about the fact that the Milky Way is now rising again. So it's not rising. And you do know what the Milky Way is. It's our galaxy, which is a spiral galaxy, by the way. So it's wonderfully formed. And what we can see is an arm of that spiral. And that's why when you see that clustered, strip in the air and people think, oh, I think people assume that we're seeing through something, a membrane of the earth and seeing through into the universe. Actually, no, we are merely seeing the inner arm. So basically, I guess this part of the spiral arm of our galaxy. We are not the only solar system in this galaxy. Before even leaving the galaxy, we've got to leave the solar system, and that's what Dwayne is.
And then the galaxy is, our Milky Way is traveling through the universe at 1.3 million miles per hour.
So what Dwayne is saying, what we're saying is here, not only is the Earth spinning, but it's orbiting the sun, right? And then our solar system is also orbiting the galaxy, right? That's a cosmic year.
Yeah.
Cosmic time. So cosmic orbit. So our galaxy is orbiting. No, our solar system is orbiting in the galaxy, which is why we are able to see that arm of the spiral of our Milky Way galaxy. Because when we orbit it, we get to certain points that all of a sudden the spiral somehow we can see it. And so we're able to see it right now. It's there. It's beautiful. Yesterday morning we saw Saturn and Mars because right now in their orbits they've because of the differing sizes of the planets, orbits are different times and days according to those planets are different. So this is at times of the orbits. All the planets do. They all fit in, they come into alignment, or they look like they've gone behind, and that's what's called retrograde in astronomy. So do join us next month when we start talking about all things celestial, and we'll be sharing astronomy and astrology and all of these wonderful facts that just boggle our mind. And because all of this, Dwayne has to tell me, just imagine, okay, 60, imagine 100 kilometers. Now imagine 320. Now imagine 1,000. It's like, it's you have to realize exactly how fast we are traveling, and thank gosh for gravity. Otherwise we'd be smashing. No, we wouldn't be alive. Oh gosh. Remember that I asked you what would happen if we stopped spinning for a second?
Yeah, we'd just...
Nothing would happen because we wouldn't exist anymore. So yeah.
Tsunamis, people flying all.
Yeah, we wouldn't be like, ooh, what was that? Oh, the Earth stopped spinning, except, darling, when we make love. But we'll talk about that in another program launching soon. Love and stuff. Mm-hmm. That is when the Earth does stop moving, actually.
Because I asked you a question a few weeks ago, like, how do we know our galaxy is a spiral galaxy?
Well,
and then, but you read it to me because of the observation of the spiral arms and all that. So the cluster of stars we see gives us a clue of what shape our galaxy is.
People, we are so incredible. Our brains can actually connect dots when we start recognizing patterns. Our brains, people who can read patterns, like we are those people, people like that, people who read patterns can actually make leaps of connection. It's like, like Tumblr, go from one bridge to the other kind of thing.
But that's
visionaries.
Hundreds of years of observation.
That's
pattern recognition. It's beautiful.
And that's where astrology came in. Before astronomy was a thing, astrology was the science of observation of the skies. And so it was the correlation between astrology and what was happening to the people of this planet way before astronomy and science was determined as being way before astrology was decreed a pseudoscience, of course, by the Europeans. But the Europeans were also following astrology quite. The Romans, back before the Gregorian calendar, when it was the Julian calendar, they were basing it all on astrology and the mixture of science, etc. But they did see all of those things. Halley's Comet was 800 from back, in 3-digit year time zones when they were able to see it. So yes, so I think like how they determined the world is actually round, and how they determined that, is it heliocentric, that is when the world revolves around you, or geocentric?
Yeah, helio.
Helio. Well, that's how they also determined that we're not heliocentric, that that we orbit around the sun, because at one stage it was thought that everything orbited around the Earth, that Earth was the center of the universe. Hello, some people still think that.
They thought it was geocentric before.
Right.
And now it's heliocentric.
Right. Okay. So yes, it was geocentric. That's what it was considered. And so I believe that the descendants of those people who thought it was geocentric still exist. They're called flat earthers. Ba-boom. I don't even know if that was funny, but whatever. So.
But it's true.
Come on, people. You know shadows and stuff, right? And also on a clear day, what do flat earthers see out that way, darling? Well, I can see Fiji. Hey, look what they're doing in Suva.
Is that the Liberty?
Come on. On a clear day, apparently flat earthers can see the pyramids. No, don't go there. Okay, so what were we talking about? We were talking about the shows launching next week. We would love you to jump on board with us, and also if you let us know if you'd like a media kit. You really should join us now before we're way too expensive. That's no joke. I say this because I have accomplished, and everything I do I accomplish. It is only when I don't wish to accomplish or achieve visible success in something, and that's when I don't. But when I choose to achieve visible success in something, I achieve it. So I assure you, look at our bios. Look at my bio, look at Dwayne's bio, at his capabilities and what he can do and what can't he do. Look at my bio and see what I have done. I don't know how this is going to come across to you, depending on how you feel about yourself. How you listen to me right now is either going to be, listen to this arrogant bitch, or, okay, show us what you got. Go and see what I've got, and I'm showing you what we've got. We show now. I don't live in the past. My past is an accumulation of what I can do today. I wouldn't be this way if I didn't know what I have been able to do, and that is just that. And for me, that is merely an accumulation of my knowledge, my skills, and that just makes me stronger. My past accomplishments are not what I rely on for glory. Fuck glory. It's not my thing. I don't want glory. We'd like, I guess, remuneration so that we can go and help other people also achieve their best lives. Yep. It's a chain reaction, and it does start with us. We do have to earn for ourselves before we are able to put the oxygen mask on other people. That's what we want to do. But now I was talking about belief systems. What do you believe in? We believe in ourselves because we know ourselves. And for me, it has been a long healing journey in a few things. And for those of you who have followed my account for a while or are long-term viewers, you know that I have been very visible about my trauma healing. And that's because I wish to just be absolutely liberated and not have anything to hide. Because it's wonderfully liberating, as I've just said. It's wonderful starting from just like, okay, say what you want, say what you will, but if you know the truth, and there's a lot of people who don't know the truth of themselves. There's a lot of people in denial about a lot of things. And that's, of course, why they turn to religion, because religion allows you to be in denial of yourself. Just fill your mind with mantras and chants and psalms and verses. Don't think for yourself, just judge everybody. And fill your mind with the words of man-made godliness. Okay. Do I believe in God? Yes, I do. I do now. I do. That's now. It surprises me still. These words are very new coming out of my mouth. I'd say 2 weeks old only. When did I actually say it? 2 weeks ago? Yeah. I believe in God. That is crazy for me to feel, to acknowledge. Because I think I've been agnostic, not atheist, because I know there's magic in the world.
Yeah.
I know that miracles happen. I know that divinity exists. I've always known it within myself, and I've always seen it in my mother. My mother was my first superhero. Again, these are stories I share in the Sun Here Show. And also, there is another playlist called My Story. And that's where I do share the trauma therapy side of things, the trauma side of things. And this is where I share my life, as in the years, my younger years, and the truth of it all. What caused the trauma that I used to fuel me, because I have also grown up in privilege, and I had to make a choice: lead with privilege or lead with trauma. I chose privilege because that seems too greedy if you have privilege and trauma as well. Because if you have privilege, you then have the means to work on your trauma. And I don't know why we hide all of these things, but well then, not me. I didn't choose it, but my cells chose no more. And that's, I guess, my story about that, what it was all about, what I went through. People go through this shit, all right? I've been through some heinous things. I've endured violence. I've sexual and physical and mental and emotional, and oh gosh, and my ex-best friend tried to kill me. Now, this is when I was 27. I have to ask this question now, because so many people say to me, let it go. Really? So if your best friend tried to murder you, tried to kill you, because you confronted her with a lie she was telling, not just about you, but about other people that you know are good people, and you also know that what she is doing isn't very good either, because she's not exactly faithful, but you're her best friend, so you keep her secrets to this day. But if she's trying to kill you, are you supposed to, what is that? I mean, how are you supposed to feel? How are you supposed to be? This woman is still walking around the streets of Suva. Now, she's not a street walker. There's more respect for that kind of person. This is a person in society who has used her womb for security. A misogynist, a misandrist, and a would-be murderer. And she's still walking around. You know why? Because Jesus! Jesus hands! And you know what? People like this, people like the people in the Middle East now currently trying to bomb everyone while they're being backed into a corner, they all use religion as a shield. This woman, if you want to call this misogynist female, there's others. We grow up, we come from a community, a society of people who are, I don't know. They don't know who they are. They don't know who they are, so they latch on to Jesus. Poor Jesus. Or actually, I don't think poor Jesus. I think Jesus thinks, fool, not in my name. Because when you get to where you think you're going, heaven, which we know, everyone knows, and I'm talking on behalf of Jesus here, Jesus knows you don't actually believe in him. Jesus actually knows. When you think you're going to heaven, you actually secretly know you're going to hell. And so you think that just saying the name of God and Jesus and all that is going to protect you. Because you don't actually care. You don't actually care. While you're living, it serves your purposes to be religious, to drive around with Jesus number plates, to say in the name of God, we want this land, or whatever it is you want to do. How can you go to church and then be racist the next day, or the same day? How can you, pray in a temple and then go and beat up your wife and then your daughter? How? So, anyway, belief systems, right? They've all got to calm down. They've all got to break. And sadly, women are the first who have to understand this, because women were always the first to be targeted when men and their religious agendas women have to lead this way. Women have to come into our senses soon. Anyway, I have to come to my senses soon because I want the sense of taste for ta-da-da, the Daily Egg. I know, but just what I said made no sense, but I realized that I do want to go now because I'm hungry. I've seen the egg. The Daily Egg for Friday, April 12th, 2024. Thank you very much for being here, for watching. We'll see you on Monday morning for the Daily Egg. Otherwise, what have we got this weekend?
Ooh, we got a whole bunch of stuff.
We've got a whole bunch of things dropping this weekend. Ooh, join us. Do check out our homepage for the upcoming live streams. The Stylander and the Riff on Sunday. Should be fun. Lots of fun. Stylander's all fashion. The Riff is all music. And that's something we both have a lot of love, passion, knowledge, and experience in. So join us then. Thank you very much for being here. See you. Bye. Have a good day.